everybody, welcome back into Pritch's Get Stitches. We are glad you found us. Glad you're here with us today. Holly, I got my Buc-ee's hat on again today because I found out when I go to Mexico, I got a new place to stop.
Yeah, you do. That's Buc-ee's. How do they? But it's a gopher.
It's a gopher. It's like elongated, and it's like BUK-II apostrophe S or something like that.
Yeah, but I hear Buc-ee's is suing.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Isn't there like international copyright laws and stuff? Except China, they don't abide by them.
I think so. And then there was the, I don't know if there's not necessarily international, I guess, maybe, but in the article that I was reading about it, I mean, they've gone after like even little tiny individual gas stations that it's like mom and pop owned. So there was one down in Bryan. And it had a yellow circle with like an alligator in it or something. And they sued and settled out of court. So they don't mess around. So I saw mess with Buc-ee's. They're messing with you.
So we went to Helene the other day, a couple weekends ago, and there was a sign, as you come into Temple, you have the Buc-ee's on the left, and there's a like Shell station or something with a Wendy's off to the right. And it was an advertisement for that. And it was like something like, don't spend all your bucks, something or other. Like it was like, a dig at Buc-ee's. But anyways, it was like, stop here. And it was like Wendy's and Shell. And I'm like, no, I think I'll still go to Buc-ee's. But we did not stop at Buc-ee's that trip, actually.
Oh, that's a bit surprising.
Yeah, I guess we didn't need to. And then we left like literally like 11:30 at night to drive home. And I'm like, we're going to get there as fast as because I'm tired.
Well, our cousins, they were just in town. They just left this week and they made several trips to Buc-ee's. Sure. And I'm like, it's a gas station. Like, I get it if you're like
on the road
or something. And then she sends me Susie sends me a text the night before they're leaving. Or maybe a couple days before they're leaving. And she's like, I need to order like a bag or something to carry on the plane so I can bring all my Buc-ee's stuff back. And I'm like, girl, put it in a Walmart bag.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, that's so white trash. I'm like, put it in a Walmart bag.
You're bringing back the stuff from the gas station.
That's what I said. I was like, you could probably pay to have that shipped. She's like, no, I can't. I don't know. Oh, no, she wasn't saying no about that. She's bringing back, she like pulls some stuff out of the fridge. So this reminded me of the story when Dad and I used to travel a lot for work together.
Okay.
So we used to travel for extended business trips, essentially for months at a time.
Right.
And when we went to Utah back in like 2005, 2006, we were there for months. I don't even know, like months. And so Dad and I would do Sunday dinner together every week still, just like, back home. And so he had a frozen roast that he didn't get cooked. He's like, I'm going to put this in my suitcase and bring it home. He did. He wrapped that roast up, put it in his suitcase and took it home.
I guess you put it in a suitcase, going to go in and you're 30,000 feet high. It's probably cooler down there.
Yeah, he had it all wrapped up. But it just reminded me, I was thinking of that with Susie because she gets in the fridge and she's like, pulls out, because what happened was they had come to my house like the very last day so she could show the girls the apartment, the girls and Jeff, because she'd been there, but they hadn't come over yet. So while they're there, they're talking about like all the suitcases and like they pack like each of them have 2 bags plus 2 carry-ons. Like it's a ton of crap. And so I said, well, how many bags do you guys have? And the 2 girls were like, oh, well, we only have 1 each. So I was like, oh, well, I have this extra suitcase I bought in Italy. You're welcome to use it if you need it. So because of that, she was super excited. So she goes in the fridge and she pulls out these, I think it was like onions with jalapenos or something. I'm like, girl, you could order that online. You can find it out there. No, not this one. This one I really like. And you can't find this. I looked and they don't have it at our Costco. So she like goes in and she has that. She's got sourdough starter. She's got Bucky nuggets or whatever they're called again. Beaver nuggets, chow chow, like all this stuff. And I'm like, this is like just, you can go to Buc-ee's and order it and have it shipped to you. And she's like, yeah, but why pay for shipping when I could just bring it back for free? And I'm like, I guess.
You got a point. You're talking about suitcases and traveling and with Dad, and thought about the time when Dad tried to take a knife onto the airplane in his carry-on.
And it wasn't even 9/11 yet. It wasn't 9/11 yet, but he was.
Well, I think that's why it was so lenient on him, because he was like, he had this knife. I mean, he was a baker, so he had like a knife to cut brownies and all that stuff. And he just had it in a suitcase.
And he had a tray of the tray of uncooked brownies, I think, in the carry-on with the knife on top. And so he was like, I'm going to go do a presentation and I needed to have a knife. And they're like, okay, sir. And they let him out carry on with the flight with his brownies and his knife.
No, he had to leave the knife. He had to leave the knife.
I thought they let him take the knife.
No, they made him. I think they said it'll be here when you get back, I think is what they told him.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
But I don't know if he ever picked it back up. But that was definitely pre-9/11, because he probably would have been arrested post 9/11.
That's like I have a Kubaton. Or I used to have a Kubaton. I don't know what happened to it. It's like a little metal long rod and it's got not a pointy end, but it comes to a point, but it's a dull point. And then you can use it to, like, if you press it into people's pressure points,
Right.
You know, you can use it like in an attack or whatever. And so I had that on my keys one time when I was traveling, and they stopped me and they're like, why do you have this weapon? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she like pulls that up and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm a single woman. I live alone. Like,
Right.
she like calls I'm gonna have to call supervisor, try to take a weapon on board. And I'm like, yo, you can have it. I was not trying to take a weapon on board. Like, this is right after I had first kind of gotten my clearance. So I was like, I wasn't trying to do anything. Like, I have a clearance, ma'am. Please don't report this. And
Yes.
called their supervisors over, goes through this whole ordeal. They take a picture of me holding the weapon. You know, they put the weapon on they have like a piece of paper that has like a ruler like printed on it. They put that down to show how big the weapon is. And then finally the supervisor comes over and he's like, did you have any like malintent with this? And he could tell, like, I'm freaking out, like, no. He's like, listen, you have two options. You can throw it away, or there's a little place right there that you can go drop it in the mail and send it to yourself. And I'm not going to do anything. So I was like, okay, just done. Tossed it, was finished. Yep. Like,
not worth it.
Goodness. No. And the guy's like, come on, guys. Like, you can clearly see, like, he like lectured them, but I get it. Like, they're just doing their job. But he could totally tell, like, I was like freaking out, like, I have a clearance. I don't want to lose my job. I didn't even think about this as being a weapon. Like,
right.
Ridiculous.
Well, I got a call one time from the the assistant principal at the middle school. And it's like, hey, I have Lexi here in my office. And I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, she has a water bottle and it has one of those, you know, contraptions on it. It has a whistle and it has this and that and the other thing. And one of the things it has on there is a fire starter. And her and a friend were in English class. And apparently they were trying to catch paper on fire. And I'm like, really? He's like, yes. And so they were just in the back, just using this thing, trying to catch it on fire, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, if you want it, you're going to have to come down and pick it up. I'm like, no, throw it away. Like, I don't like, whatever. Like, I'm sure she wasn't.
Survival kit.
Yeah. A little like survival kit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, and I mean, he was nice about it. He wasn't like total jerk or anything, but he's just like, you know, I mean, they can't have that. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know it was on there. I don't even know that she really knew it was on there. But then it's her friend that we've known these guys forever. Like when we lived in McKinney, they lived in McKinney. Mm-hmm. We moved to Prosper. They moved to Prosper. So
yeah, it's not like those two girls were trouble starters.
Well, no. It wasn't the girls. It was a boy.
Oh.
And he can kind of get into some trouble here and there. And he wouldn't tell his mom who it was that he got in trouble with or something like that. I can't remember. It was just funny because here she was in the back of English class trying to catch some paper on fire with the
probably
fire
had
starter.
No clue either. Like, probably not even thinking like we're going to get in trouble or anything. Or this is a weapon again.
Yeah. I mean, it was just innocent. I don't think they were really like, and they're like, it was like, she's like, it was literally like little tiny shreds of paper. It wasn't even, and it wasn't even her. Like, she was like, I wasn't even doing it. Like, he just took it and was doing it, but it was mine. So
it was hers.
Got in trouble.
Right.
Anyway. So, man, so Holly, we were struggling to figure out what we were going to eat today for the What Are We Eating segment. And you know, you came over and I thought maybe you brought something with you. And then you said, I guess we can do tuna in oil. And I still can't wrap my mind around it. I don't know what it is. Like, I think I've opened a can of tuna in oil one time in my life when we were younger. Like, for some reason we had it as a kid. And I don't think I ate it because it just looked too disgusting.
It's like how gefilte fish looks, but in a can.
Yeah. And I'm hoping you never bring that. But so anyways, I did find something in my pantry that my wife and kids, or Jared, he likes it. My wife loves it. And the other day on Sunday, they had watermelon. We had watermelon and they wrapped the watermelon in fruit roll-ups. And then they put this stuff called chamoy on it.
I don't even know if I've ever even really heard of chamoy.
Neither have I. But
I feel like the first time I really heard of it. Yeah, the first time I heard of it, I think, was probably Sunday when I came over because Jared called me and said, hey, are you at the grocery store? Can you pick us up some fruit by the foot? We're going to try this thing out with chamoy. And I'm like, I don't even know what chamoy is. Is it a Mexican thing? Is it Asian?
Yeah, so it's a product of Mexico.
Okay.
And it's
spicy or not spicy?
It's from Mexico. The ingredients are water, iodized salt, high fructose corn syrup, citric acid, xanthan gum, red peppers, modified cornstarch, and a couple other things. Nothing.
All right.
So it's kind of sweet, but kind of spicy at the same time. You get the high fructose corn syrup plus the red peppers. So anyways, it says that it says, try me with drinks, chamoyadas, which I guess is something you make with chamoy. It looks like a drink, maybe like a milkshake or something.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like a michelada.
No, it looks like a drink. I don't chamoyada.
Well, michelada is like an alcoholic beverage.
Oh.
They drink it for hangovers.
Maybe that's what it is. And then it says, and fruits and vegetables. So,
hey.
I have some strawberries here. We had put in the freezer. Now they're kind of thawed out a little bit. So we're going to put some chamoy on that. And then we're going to eat it.
All right. Let's.
I have no idea how to do it. We're just going to douse it.
I guess you just pour some on there? Don't pour a whole lot if it's got red peppers. I'm scared. I only have water.
All right, so these are prepped, Holly.
Okay, this looks kind of like it's got like a, I don't know, not like a jam, but like a something. I don't know.
The consistency of it.
Yeah, it's like it looks good.
You smell it?
It smells like a hot sauce of some kind. Oh, this is scary.
Chamoy. Never had chamoy.
Hot sauce on a strawberry. Okay, here we go.
Ew.
You're like going to town on it.
I'm just going to douse it. I just douse the whole thing. All right, ready?
3, 2, 1. Oh.
Yeah. Val loves it. Jared loves it. I don't know.
That doesn't even have good flavor.
Val and Jared love it. It's disgusting.
That's up there with Marmite.
I don't know if it's up there with Marmite. I would put the sodas before that. I would take that over the sodas.
Yeah, I'd take that over the sodas.
Especially baking soda was disgusting.
I would probably take that over the seaweed snacks too, just because those seaweed snacks were hard to chew.
I might take it over the Dr. Pepper cotton candy.
I don't know. I didn't think the Dr. Pepper cotton candy was bad. It just wasn't great.
Even Ava didn't like it, which is surprising.
It didn't taste like Dr. Pepper's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's nasty. I will not be eating chamoy on anything.
Yeah, I'm done with that too. Nah, I mean, I don't know. Depends.
No. What could you eat that on that would be good? Nothing. It's my conclusion.
I don't even know. I don't even know what you would do that with.
That was, maybe we put too much.
You gotta put too much. I mean, you can't just be like a little hint. Like you gotta put a lot.
It's like one of those like wasabi, where wasabi you don't do a whole lot. You just do a little tiny bit.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely won't be eating chamoy again anytime soon.
Well, it's a product of Mexico, and in Mexico they have beaches, and on beaches they have sharks, and on sharks we have Shark Week. So tell us about our fun fact of the day, Holly.
Well, that was a terrible segue, but we'll go with it. So apparently it is Shark Week, 23rd to the 29th of July. I only know that because my friend Karen, she is an avid Shark Week watcher. And she mentioned that she's been binging Shark Week all week. So I thought I'd do some fun facts about sharks.
Oh, good.
So there are over 500 species of sharks.
I had a shark growing up.
Yeah, you did. What was his name? And then he jumped out and died.
It was Jaws. It was ginormous. And he had it. And didn't you have to pick him up?
Yes. And I was very scared and it grossed me out and I cried.
The dude got big. I mean, he was like probably like 8 inches long.
Actually, yeah, it didn't jump out and die. It died because somebody had turned the temperature up, remember? And then it, like,
no, I think he jumped out. I think he jumped out.
When he jumped out is when I had come home and I called you and I'm like, this fish is like flopping around on the floor. And you're like, put it back in. And I'm like crying because I don't like fish, first of all, but then it's alive and I had to touch it.
It wasn't me. I think I was on my mission.
Whoever it was like, put it back in the tank.
It was dad. I think they
lived.
Called mom and dad.
But then what happened was one of the grandkids came over and you had the thermometer on it.
Yeah.
And they turned the thermometer up and all your fish essentially boiled.
Yep. Sounds right.
Yeah. So anyway, 500 species of sharks.
Well, that was a black shark. That was an aquarium black shark, freshwater.
I forgot about
shark.
that.
Yeah. I always had a shark. It was old Jaws. That's what I named him.
97% of well, that's hard to say. Shark species are not interested in humans. Just so you're aware of that.
Sharks terrify me. Like that's one way I don't want to die.
No, 300 teeth coming at you. Oh, no, thank you. Most sharks are cold-blooded, although great whites are partially warm-blooded. That's why they are so fast when they hunt their prey. I did not realize that.
Interesting.
Whale sharks are the biggest sharks. Female great whites are bigger than males. And sharks have great vision, hearing, and sense of smell. So that's how they they track their prey through the smell.
Gotcha.
So
they smell the blood in the water.
Smell the blood in the water. But yeah, so I didn't want to get into too many facts because I feel like sharks, there's always Shark Week, but there's also, growing up, you always had to do like science projects. There was always a kid who did it on sharks. So we all know about sharks, but there you go. Shout out to Karen for Shark Week.
Karen and Shark Week. Sharks. When's Karen coming on the show with us? Isn't she supposed to come on sometime? Doesn't she want to? Or is that Karen or somebody else?
That's Erica, but I'm sure Karen would love to. Karen will be here actually in town visiting me. She's supposed to come the end of September, first 2 weeks in October.
Okay.
So maybe we'll bring her in and have her on. She's funny. She's good people. She has a lot of fun stories about me that I don't remember because either I have a bad memory or I was drunk. So she knows a lot more than I do. She can remember stuff more. But anyway, how's your health journey going, bud?
Pretty good. I am down still where I was last week, still down 9 pounds, but I feel like I put on a shirt the other day. So I have these workout shirts. I have large and I have extra large. So like skinny shirts, fat shirts. And so I put the extra large on the other day because I was like, I'll just put it on going to the gym. and I was like swimming in it a little bit. So
yeah. And when I walked in today, you had on a different shirt, and I told you, like, I could definitely tell that you look slimmer in the middle.
Well, that's, and like I say, like for me, my middle gets big as I drink soda and eat candy. So I've definitely cut all of that. Like I haven't had a soda for a while.
I really thought you fell off on that.
July 4th, actually. That's when we went to Rosa's.
Yeah.
So July 4th. I don't think I've had one since then. And then candy, I haven't had candy. But I will eat, like, I'm not 100%, like, as far as, like, we have wheat thins. Like, they're not, it's too carby, but I still kind of eat those.
We had ice cream on Sunday too.
Like we did have ice cream. We did have some ice cream sandwiches.
Though, that's not, like, to me, I think though, when you like cut it out completely, that's when you're more likely to fall off and binge because you just want it. That's why I always say, like, I don't ever cut anything out. I just have it in moderation. So I made sure there was 12 of us. So I only got a box of 12.
Yeah.
And that way everybody got one and nobody had extra, because usually I would have bought 2 boxes so everybody could have a couple.
Yeah. So I think I've worked out every day this week. Monday I went,
so you're combining the workout and the exercise this time.
I'm trying. So Monday I ran. Tuesday I think I ran.
Greg inspired you, I guess, huh?
That's right. He did. And, and he said something that it stuck with me. So Greg said something. I had donuts on a Saturday.
Okay, you just didn't have one donut though. You were like, I had 3 donuts for breakfast, but Greg says he has donuts every Saturday.
That's right. And then you texted me. That's what I told you. And you texted me and you said, of everything that we talked about with Greg, that's what you got out of it. And I was like, pretty much. Like, he eats donuts on Saturdays. But there was something that he did say that I've been trying, but I'm not, just working on it. And that was be where your feet are. Yeah. And that's big. I've heard him say that before. I've heard him talk about that before, but just to be where your feet are. So if you're at the gym, you're at the gym. If you're working, you're working. If you're with your kids, you're with your kids. And so still horrible at it. For me, I'm trying to focus on really putting my phone down. I saw something one time. The guy passed away. He came and he spoke to our students at Prosper, whoever want to show up to Prosper and their parents. And then he died like immediately after that. But he was like a TED Talk guy. Can't think of his name. People would know who he is. But he talks about phones and cell phones. And his son came up to him one day, or daughter, whoever it was, and said basically, like, why do you love your phone more than you love me? And I'm like, dang, like that hit me. Of course, 2 frogs are on a lily pad and one of them decides to jump off. How many are on the lily pad? The answer is 2, because he only decided to jump off. He didn't actually do it. And so same with me, like I make these decisions, but then do I follow through with them? Do I actually do them? And so that's something that I've noticed my work schedule lately. In the evenings, I would still continue to like work, right? Like office is closed. We'll get emails here and there. And I'm like, I gotta check it. But then I'm realizing, like, my clients aren't, if they're emailing me at 8:00 at night and it doesn't say like, I need an answer right now, kind of a thing. They're just emailing and they'll know I'll respond to them, or someone will respond to them in the morning. But I was like, if they email me, I got to respond. Anyway, so I'm trying to like break that habit and really just, it's only been a week, but really just kind of be where my feet are. And so if whatever we're doing, that's what I'm working on. So anyway, so as part of that, you asked me about my health journey. It's part of that health journey. I'm trying to be where my feet are. And if I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym. If I'm going to run, I'm going to run, and not worry about who's texting me or who's, what's going on here, what's on Facebook. That's probably my biggest thing. Like I was off Facebook like for like 7 years, and it's like a diet. Like I dieted with Dr. Chung style, the nutritionist we went to, and I did great. But as soon as I no longer was on her plan after we moved up here, it just kind of fell off. Right. And same with Facebook. I'm off Facebook for 7 years, and then now I'm back on, and it's like, I can't, it's like I'm addicted. Right.
Right.
And so just some things I'm trying to break in my life with that. But long story short, I'm down 9 pounds and I'm exercised every day this week. I went to the gym the last 3 days, and I actually did high fitness one day with my wife, and which actually burns a lot of calories for me. And then I ran a couple days. So
and you're going to start Insanity?
Yeah, I got to find the DVDs. That's my holdup. I can't find them. Will Sean T.
You guys still sure you have it?
I'm 100% sure I still have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's somewhere. We do have a DVD player still. So I actually have a VHS player. Do you have a VHS player?
No, I don't even have a DVD player anymore.
I have one of those VHS DVD combos.
Yeah.
I can't tell you last time I used it.
Mom and Dad, or do Mom and Dad have their own still?
Oh, they sell their own, probably. And their own rewinder machine, probably. Got to put it in, rewind. Anyways, what about you? How's your health journey going?
It was kind of a rough week for me. I think my problem is I don't get enough calories.
Yes. I would agree with that.
And so because this was the first week I really felt the impact where it affected my workout. And that's not normal where I don't get enough calories. I think it's just been to the grocery store.
Got to get out of your house.
I know.
Girl.
I know.
You never going to meet people. You can meet the guy in the grocery line. You never know.
But I had gone a couple places like over the week with Susie, our cousin, at the beginning of the week. And so, I don't know, sometimes I just kind of get peopled out or whatever. And so I was just kind of like, and then I had to take them to the airport during the middle of rush hour traffic.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, it was like a 3.5 hour journey.
Mm-hmm.
So that was.
I tell people, they're like, hey, I'm gonna book this flight and it's gonna come in at like 4:20. I'm like, nah. Like, I'll go pick you up at 9 at night. I'll pick you up at 11 at night, but I ain't picking you up at 4:20. I'm not doing it.
I told her like next time, because I helped her book these tickets without considering.
Back and consult with me. I'll tell you when not to go. 4:20, 5 o'clock. No way.
Yeah. So I told her from now on, like, because they like to fly in super early and leave super late. That way they get like the full day, the 2 full days. And so I just kind of said like, hey, next time you come in when you came in. That was fine because they arrived at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Traffic was good, but their flight out was at 7:45, but they travel with their service dog. And so they have to be there a couple hours early because it takes a lot longer with the pre-screen. And so we left at like 5 o'clock and it was ridiculous traffic. So a 3-hour round trip. I finally make it home. So Wednesday, I was like, I'm not leaving the house. Thursday, I still wasn't ready to leave the house, but it really affected like just not going to the grocery store and having that food. When I was trying to row, I just literally had no energy, and not just physical energy. I didn't have the mental. Usually I can work through the physical. Like if I'm tired, my mental capacity is like, come on, you got this. Like I'm a competitor against myself. I didn't even have it within me. Like I realized, I think I had texted you when we were talking, and I was just like, I just need fuel. And that's the bottom line. So yesterday I decided, okay, like I didn't work out yesterday, but yesterday I was like, I wouldn't have the fuel to work out yesterday because Wednesday I didn't eat well. I've just kind of been eating, I mean, not crappy, but like, hey, I had an apple for breakfast. Go ahead.
I would say, I think I would be surprised if you're getting over 1,000 calories a day.
Right. Because
and then you're burning, 600 of them. Your body's like, hey, we're not getting food and you're exercising. We're going to store this as long as we possibly can.
Right. And so when I was trying to row all week, it was a struggle, and it's not been that way. And so when I really sat down and I started to think about like, what am I doing different? Like, why am I struggling? It's because this week I just haven't gone to the grocery store. I haven't had much to eat. So, and the thing is, I take Adderall for my ADHD, and that kills any appetite. So it's like, I'm just not hungry. So if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. But I can't do that if I'm working out. Like I have to make myself eat. So yesterday and today, I did start the day with oatmeal. And yesterday I was like, I'm just going to fuel up yesterday. And today is my plan. I'm going to row tomorrow. But I, had that. And then for lunch, protein bar, peanut butter with apple, some beef jerky. And then for dinner, I cooked a good balanced meal. But so I've not gained weight. I've not lost weight. I did poorly on my rows. So now I know. I mean, I will say Wednesday's row, and when I say poorly, I mean like I only got in 15 minutes. But Wednesday's row, I did kill it. I mean, I killed it. I was like, I'm going to put all my effort into this. I know I'm only going to get 15 minutes out of it. So my split was 2:02, which is pretty good. And got 3,700 meters out of it, but it was definitely a struggle to get it.
Yeah. You gotta work. I mean, you gotta eat and you gotta work, and and sometimes it's hard work to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're just like, I'm trying to lose weight, and automatically our brain goes to, I gotta eat less. If I'm going to lose weight, I got to eat less. Well, yes, that's true. You have to go from 4,000 calories that we're probably eating, or 3,000 calories to 2,000 calories, but not down to like less than 1,000. Because and that's part of like, you have to find that balance. And when I was last year, I did do intermittent fasting, but every other day instead of fasting, I ate 800 calories. But there were some days I probably wasn't even getting that with the amount that I burned off. There's some days this week burned off, and then a couple apples. So I just have to be more cognizant of that. And not only that, like I just felt crappy all week. Like I think I was telling you about that. Like I just feel like blah. And then yesterday eating right. And then today starting the day off with, the oatmeal and coffee. Like I feel great. So I know that's what it is. And so I just have to make myself, even if I'm not hungry because of my Adderall, I have to say like, it doesn't matter that you're not like craving food. Your body needs it for the fuel. Right. So yeah, that's true. And so for me, I have cut probably have cut down on the calories. I don't count them, but I do see, and for me too, like I get a lot of carb bloat. And so I'll eat a lot of carbs, graze. I try to pull off the grazing and walking around and eating whatever I find. And if I do graze, I try to get something like some grapes or strawberry or something like that. So
when I was reading that when you're hungry like that, you should try to go for things that are high in protein, because protein is what fills you up. So I noticed just by yesterday, because it's like the same thing where I'm not necessarily hungry. It's like I'm not hungry, but I'm bored.
Right.
Sometimes I will do like boredom eating. So then I was like, okay, well, if I'm boredom eating, then I'm going to eat beef jerky, or I'm going to eat an apple with peanut butter, or a protein bar. And I did notice I wasn't in there grazing as much.
There's also something I've read that, well, and Val and I, we do a lot of research on this and try to be healthy to the point where Jared, our oldest one, is trying to gain mass because he's a skinny guy, but he's a ball of muscle. But he won't, like his whole life, we've been, we try to eat healthier. Like we're not always that way, but 80-20. And so he, even as a kid, he's like, he would go up to you and he'd be like, hey, I think he went up to you. And he's like, yeah, Holly, is ice cream healthy or no? And so, he'd be like, healthy. Is it healthy or no?
Healthy. Is this healthy?
Is this healthy or no? And he came home from school and he's like, Dad, you got to quit eating sugar. You're going to get diabetes. And like, okay. So he struggles, and he's actually gone to Val and been like, hey, can I go to like a hypnotist or something so I can he's like, because I don't want to eat junk food. Like I just want to eat healthy food and blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, no, that's like, football's a short time. Like, love you, kid. But,
I think it's
NFL's not going to come calling probably.
I think though it's important to recognize, like I was talking to Karen about it, and I don't have an eating disorder, but I have disordered eating. And I think that it's important.
I eat out of order. I just, whatever, just throw it in.
Well, mine's very disordered. Like it's, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain that other than it's like, I guess kind of how I've been doing it, where it's not like I'm not eating because I feel like I'm going to get fat or because of any sort of disorder. It's more like, hey, well, I'm just not hungry because of my Adderall, so I'm just not going to eat.
Right.
But it's very disordered. But I don't have like a negative relationship with food or anything like that. It's just, when I talk to when I go into therapy and we talk to my therapist, because I do, again, and I've mentioned this before, like body image issues. And we've talked about how I have disordered eating, but not necessarily an eating disorder. And I think it's important. And I think that's probably where Jared sits with his disordered eating, where in his mind, because sometimes you have to have those fats and those carbs and,
and he'll eat them. He just doesn't
he struggles though when we're like, eat more.
He's like, oh, I just, I don't, like he'll take a small portion. And I'm like, bro, you're trying to put on weight. Like you got to eat more than that. But
well, and that's what I'm getting at. I'm curious. He must have some sort of disordered eating around junk food because of the things he was taught, where he took diabetes and is this healthy or no, really took that to heart. And you can tell.
Because he'll eat a salad. He'll load up on a salad. Right. But he's like, pasta.
All your other kids are like candy, pasta, all this carbs. And he's like, I'm all right.
So anyways, I'm like, dude, right now. Anyways, where I was going with that prior, and then I got off track, is your body doesn't necessarily know if it's hungry or it's thirsty. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it automatically gives off the hunger ping. Mm-hmm. And so if you drink water, a lot of times it will eliminate that. And so I'm starting to drink also a lot of water right now, to where I'll drink, I've got like a water bottle, like 28 ounces or 24 ounces, whatever it is.
Right.
And I just try to keep that full, and I'll drink maybe 4 or 5 of those a day now. Just to kind of keep my body full, because if your body, if you do have water in your belly, that's going to also help out too. So
yeah, and I drink a lot of water anyway, like a ton of water. So
yeah. So speaking of water, Holly, in a couple of months, your lease is up at your apartment. You're debating. You're like, hey, where am I going to go? Am I going to stay here in Dallas area? Am I going to move here? You're kind of debating. And so I've put together 2 lists for you. And based on this list, I found out where you need to go.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. So the first list is because there's a couple things you want. Number one is you just want to go to a beach, right?
Correct.
Just want to be at a beach.
Beach access. Yeah.
You don't care if it's hot, because we're like, it's hot in Florida, and you're like, I don't care. There's a beach.
There's a beach. I can do heat and humidity as long as there's a beach.
So here's the top 10 beaches, according to the luxurytravelexpert.com.
Okay.
Top 10 beaches from 2 years ago, actually. Number 1 is Tulum in Mexico.
That's the best beach?
This is number 10.
Oh, number 10.
Number 9 is Navajo Beach in Greece.
Okay.
Number 8 is Grace Bay, which is in Turks and Caicos.
Oh, I almost went to Turks and Caicos. Grace Bay actually was number 1 last year.
Number 7 is Whitehaven Beach in Australia. Number 6 is in Brazil by Do Sancho. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Number 5 is Long Beach, Vancouver Island, Canada. Okay. Number 4 is Maya Bay, Thailand.
Okay.
So these are places you could actually go, like aspire to go to these places. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is Camps Bay, South Africa.
Okay.
Number 2 is, I'm going to say this wrong, Polahale Beach in Hawaii. Okay. Polahale, I don't know. And number 1 is, I don't even know, Once Source d'Argent Seychelles. Seychelles. I have no idea.
Seychelles. That's
Seychelles.
my number 1. That's the number 1 place I want to go. It's off of Africa.
Okay.
I want to go to Seychelles more than any other place. That's like my number one on the bucket list. Turks and Caicos is number two. But I feel like the problem with those two is like you have to go with somebody to those two places.
Well,
it's very much centered around couples.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I have also found the top 10 places with the hottest men. And there's a couple there's two that are on both lists. And so that's where you're going to go.
Okay.
So number 10.
I live there though until I quit my job currently because I can't live outside the U.S.
It's actually the top 16. No, maybe top 20. But I don't even know. It's still going. So this is according to the top10s.com. So I'm just going to go with top 10. Number 10 is Jordan.
Okay.
Number 9 is the United States.
Okay.
Should be number 1. Number 8 is Germany.
Ooh, I feel like Germans are hairy. No offense if you're German.
Number 7 is Russia.
Gross.
6 is Greece.
Greek gods. I could see that.
5 is Spain.
Okay.
4 is France.
Okay.
3 is Turkey.
Turkish men are hot, I will say. Like, there's some good looking dudes in Turkey.
2 is Italy.
I already knew it. And number 1's going to be Brazil.
Nope, Syria, actually.
Oh.
Syria.
I'm not going to Syria, though.
Right. So the only place that has them both, number 9 for the best beach was in Greece.
Yeah.
And number 6 hottest men is Greece. So there you go. Got to go to Greece. You're going to have hot men and you're going to have a beach.
I feel like there's a lot of white dudes in Greece, though. Like, are there a lot of black men in Greece? Are there a lot of black Greeks?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know who made the list, but they're number 6 on the list.
That's true. I don't know.
Try it out. I mean, you've been doing this whole dating black men for a long time, and you're still kind of like, hey, I'm single, I'm 43. Like, maybe you got to expand your horizons a little bit.
You like what you like. I tried. Like this whole dating experiment, I was like, I'm going to be open to anybody. I'm going to base it off of credentials.
No, you weren't.
And
I told you.
And
I told you to do that, and you're like, no way.
I tried to be. No, I did match with a couple Indian guys and a couple Asian guys.
Well, of course, there's a lot of Indians and Asians here.
Yeah, and one of them matched with me back. He was from Britain, and we had a good conversation. And then I told him what I did, and he unmatched me. And then
I feel like you're purposely sabotaging.
I'm like talking like I would normally talk, but then I've just come to this conclusion that I'm a boring person. Like you and Greg both said it last week. You're boring. And so that must be what it is. Like I must be boring. I don't know.
It's just the job,
must be.
I guess. I don't know.
But I will say, like, I was on the app, so I did delete the app this morning. But I got 19 matches.
Oh wow, in a week.
In the course of a week. Yeah, a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's more than I've ever gotten. And 2 of the guys did stop talking to me when I told them what I did. I went on the date with the one guy, and that was a short date. Haven't really heard from him since he texted me like the next day, and then that was it. And then a couple guys wanted to take me out, but they're like, hey, we're not in town. Like, I'm in town this weekend. Whatever. So I don't know. Here's the thing that I've decided though. It's like, I just don't think I want to be like in any sort of relationship. Like when I really think about it, and I think that's why it's really half-assed. Like when I put effort into it, it's like, I really don't want to put effort into like dressing up and going out or put effort into any of this. And I think it's like, I kind of think like my ex took all my effort. Like I put so much effort into that relationship for it to not work that now I'm like, I just don't want to put effort in. I just kind of want to do me and do my own thing. And if somebody comes along, great. But I realize like I don't enjoy dating apps, and I really don't enjoy dating. But if I do meet somebody, I would rather it not be on an app, even though I know that's like based on, all the research that we've done, that's probably not going to happen. But I'm kind of over it.
Well, then if that's the case, you can't stay home every day, all day. You got to meet the guy in the grocery line.
That's why I researched too, like the top 5 cities, or I Googled and then did some research on the top cities for women to move, for single women over 40 to live.
So I did Google that too today, because I was like, I'm going to find some top 10 lists for Holly. And I Googled that, and I said, top 10 places to live for single middle-aged women.
You're the worst.
And it took me to the AARP website. And I was like, I can't use this list, because then it was like, you got, Denver, Colorado, and all these places. I'm like, she ain't moving.
No.
So I was like, oh, I'm on AARP. That's not going to work.
There you go. Yeah, I just Googled single women over 40 to live. And so it pulled up the 5 that were pretty consistent across the different articles that I researched. Seattle seemed to be number 1 on a lot of people's list. I'm like, man, it's so rainy and gloomy up there.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine moving there. No, 2 is San Francisco, where I would love to live, but way too expensive. Couldn't afford.
I found a way. We'll talk about it. I found a way for you to make some money and live in San Francisco. But anyways, continue.
3rd was Atlanta, which I'm like, if I'm going to move somewhere more humid than here, it better have a beach, and Atlanta doesn't. So that's out, even though I know they have a high black man population.
Well, you can go down to Savannah.
No, I'm not going to. If
I have a buddy who took a job in Savannah, and he's like, it's nice, but it's not Dallas, Yeah. It's a small, I think it's more of a, I've never been, but it's like more of a small town.
Yeah, it's a small town
type
feel. Yeah. And then number 4 was Miami, which I've been to Miami. Beautiful. I don't think I could live in Miami. It's very lavish, like celebrity centric, I guess, like very focused on like looks and stuff where I don't know. That's just not me, I guess. And then number 5 was Tampa, which has been the other place.
I don't believe that. I don't believe Tampa was on there. You're like,
it was on the list.
Definitely Tampa. That's where I'm moving.
I will send you the articles. I was actually surprised Tampa made the list because in my mind, I'm like, Tampa's like an old person retiree location, but it was actually on the list. So I sent that over to my girlfriend, Erin, and she's like, I told you. So I'm actually going to Tampa to visit her at the end of August, and we're going to kind of look around there. And because I'm also like, I just want to be by a beach, and I'd love to learn to surf. Like that's been on my list of things to do, learn to surf and sail.
Yeah.
And Tampa doesn't have crazy big waves, but what I've read is they have a lot of surf schools there because they're the perfect wave to learn to surf on.
Right.
So I'm definitely.
I don't see you riding the big wave anyways, though.
No, I don't want to do like a giant. I just want to do like, hey, let's get out and have some fun on a longboard and get some good exercise in, get the sun in.
So I've attempted to
try it.
I've attempted to surf one time in my life.
Same.
And I was in San Diego, and
same.
Val took me down to the beach, and we were gonna go surf. And I get in there, and I'm like, she's like, hey, you should have this leash, right? Connected to your foot, connected to the board. Nah, I got this. I'm good. And I get out, and I'm doing what she said. You got to paddle, and then you got to go into the water, and the wave comes, and I'm doing all that. And all of a sudden, I'm like out there forever. I look back, I'm like, I'm only right here. What the heck? I keep going. And then the wave comes and hits the board, and it takes it all the way back in. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I walk out of the ocean, and I realized my cell phone was in my pocket. And those were the days where cell phones couldn't get wet.
Oh, nice.
And the screen was filled with water. You could see the water inside the screen. And I'm like, we were there, for vacation, but I was still like a sole, like running my business on my own basically at the time. And so I had no phone. I had no way for clients to get a hold of me. I'm like, this sucks. So luckily I was able to get a phone like overnighted to me or 2 days or something.
Wow.
But that was my one surfing experience. And I'm like, I have no desire. Like I'm not like a beach guy. Like you're a beach girl.
Oh, I love the beach.
I just sand in my toes drives me nuts.
I love it.
But it's more like, I think it has to do now that I'm kind of I've learned a little bit about like highly sensitive personalities, and with Jace, and like I realized I'm definitely a highly sensitive person, and that sensitivity to some of those things. Mm-hmm. But the sand in my toes, I just hate it. Like I'm like, get it off of me. But I'll do it. I'll go to the beach. I'm not always in the best mood when we do. And that's definitely a weakness I've got to work on, is to try to be in a better mood. And I guess just, learning from Greg, just be where your feet are, right? And if your feet are in the sand, just be there in the sand. But I'm different. I just am not a huge beach person.
Man, I love the beach. If I could like be on the beach every day, I would. Like, I love it. And when it's funny how I tried surfing. I was flying out to San Diego for a girls' weekend with my girlfriends, Erica and Shala. And I sat next to a woman on the plane, and I saw her at the gate. We kind of chatted a little bit at the gate at Salt Lake. And it was right when my ex and I had split in 2018. And so I was having a really hard time. And so I sat on the plane next to her, and she kind of had a similar story. And she was older. She was probably early 60s maybe, but she had a very similar story. And she and I started talking, and I just, kind of opened up a little bit, and she opened up. And so we were talking about it. And she mentioned that she lived in San Diego, and and I said, oh yeah, I'm going out there. I'd love to learn to surf. And she's like, oh, well, I surf, and all my grandkids come and surf. And she said, I've got, a bunch of boards. And she's like, I'll tell you what, you tell me where you're staying, and I'll lend you a wetsuit and a board. Wow. You can just use it for the time you're there. She's like, I'll go out with you one day and give you a little bit of lessons, and I'll take some pictures of you, and I'll see if we can't get you up on the water. So I said, okay. So she did. She spent the whole day with me, and it was like amazing. And I got up for like a whole 3 seconds. Of course, it was so quick that she didn't have time to snap the picture of me. But right. I have some great photos, and that was a great memory. And she did. She left the board and wetsuit there with me. And I just basically went out every day. And even though I didn't know what I was doing and didn't know how to surf, just being out there was like calming to me and really helped my mental my mental state. And then she's like, just call me whenever you're leaving and I'll come pick it up. And I did. And it was like, who does that? You know what I mean? Just this nice lady who knew, like, she was like, see, I was struggling. And
friend for life, Holly. You should have kept her number.
I do have her number still, and it's funny because she has a daughter. Remember her telling me she has a daughter named Holly. So every once in a while I get a text message from her that's meant for her daughter, or a phone call that's meant for her daughter, where I have to say, like, oh, this is the other Holly. So,
well, look, you're friends for life. You have a place to stay, I'm sure, now,
I know,
forever.
She was so just nice. And I was like, I can't imagine, like, who's just like, hey, you can borrow a board. I don't know how much boards cost, but I imagine they're a few $100.
I mean, they're probably, they are, but she's probably had them for a long time. That's the thing about
she did. And
out there, like, it's
right.
There's no value on it anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, and
like,
she had tons of boards. Like, yeah, right. She's like, I have tons of grandkids. They come, and she says, I go out and surf every day. It's good for my mental health. And I thought, that's going to be me in my 60s, whatever beach I live at. I'm going to be that old lady out there surfing every day, catching. I don't need to catch the giant
hanging to your
waves.
Knees.
Hey, you know what? I'll be in a wetsuit. It'll be all right.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm definitely considering a move. And after yesterday's marathon of baseball games at the stadium, there was a tournament going on, and I, like, by the end of the night, I was like ready to just go out on my balcony and yell, "Shut up."
Well, I do have an extra bed here. It's always open.
I didn't know it was a tournament. I thought it was going to be a day game because the first game was at like 11 o'clock. And then they're like, okay, thank you, blah, blah, blah.
Next game. Well,
then it's like a couple hours later, I hear the national anthem again. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And they're like, play ball. And I'm like, oh, it must be a doubleheader. I was thinking it must have been the Rough Riders making up for when it rained earlier. It rained out some games. So I thought, oh, it must be a makeup. Then I hear the national anthem again. And I'm like, oh my God. If I have to hear the national anthem, or God Bless America, or Take Me Out to the Ball Game, or Sweet Caroline one more time today, I'm going to stab myself in the eye.
Then you did.
Yeah, it was like 11. And of course, the music starts at 8 because they're out there playing ball. 11 o'clock at night. It was just, I love baseball, but yesterday, I did not love it.
Just text me up. Hey, I need to stay in the bed. I am worried about one thing when you move.
What's that?
And that worry is I pretty much set up your setup every time. I have to set up the camera. I have to make sure that, everything's working. And you're going to go move and be like, hey, we're doing this podcast. And it's just, you're going to be on like a phone call. You're like, hey, couldn't figure it all out. I'm just on a phone call.
I'll have to figure it out the first time to set it up. And then I'll have to leave it set up.
Just leave it.
It'll just be set up. And people are going to be like, why do you have this here in your little studio apartment on the beach?
Yeah. I'm a little worried about
set it up every time.
I guess we'll have to just finish up the show and be like, hey, it's over.
Just have to move to Tampa.
You'll do your own and I'll do my own.
We'll figure it out. It'll be easy.
Well, Holly, I know you love San Francisco. I know you love San Diego. It's one place you want to live. And I saw something today and I thought, this is it. Like, I found our way. Like, you have a day job. I have a day job. We do this podcast for free, basically. And all of our people who listen, I'm sure everyone who listens now has liked and subscribed. There is a donation you can make on Spotify. Mm-hmm. We just kind of do this for them. And, it's for all our listeners. This is, because honestly, we could stop. We actually did. We missed a week one time early on. And we had like 7 or 8 people like text us like, what's going on? Why is there no episode? And I think you were out of town and I was like sick. And so it was bad. Anyways, so I found our little side hustle where we can get filthy rich. Okay. And here's the headline. One family pocketed $7.6 million by taking cans and bottles from Arizona and recycling them in California.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a lot of cans.
That's fraud, prosecutors say.
What?
It's fraud.
How's that fraud?
Because in California, you have to pay extra for the bottle. And then when you take the bottle back, they give you the extra back. So you pay like a 5 cent, whatever. That's why, have you seen on the bottles or cans, it says like 5 cents. Yeah. Like they used to have that in Texas. We used to do that. That's how we would go get candy at Mickey's. We would take in the bottles. They don't do that anymore in Texas.
But how's that fraud?
Because in Arizona, if they went to Arizona and they picked them all up from Arizona and they collected them all in Arizona and took them back to California, they weren't purchased in California. Therefore, they didn't pay the 5 cent fee extra.
No, I just don't know that I think that that's fraud.
Because I don't think it's about recycling, honestly. Like, hey, it's recycling. Anyways, I don't care if it's fraud or not. What I'm saying is we just go to California and go collect cans and bottles and make $7.6 million.
New retirement plan.
But it does say here, it says, typically they pay 5 to 10 cents in California redemption value, which is CRV. So if the soda is $1.19, then you pay $1, let's say $1.29. And then if you take the bottle back, you get 10 cents back. Okay. But they did say, as I was reading through it, that 93 people in California were convicted of recycling fraud between 2010 and 2019.
I just feel like if you're recycling, if you've got 93 people who want to recycle, like, why are you punishing them? I hate recycling and I do not recycle.
I feel like it was the 93 people are all homeless people too. Nothing against homeless people collecting cans, but like, dude's just trying to make some money. But recycling fraud, I don't know, maybe not homeless, because if it was recycling fraud, that means they brought it in from somewhere else.
I don't know. That's just the craziest
But that was just from Arizona. They're saying that's from
Is it a
Arizona.
felony?
Yeah, they can spend time behind bars.
A felony?
It says, hold on.
That's insane.
They've now been accused of multiple felonies that could lead to years behind bars.
Felonies? Like, what are you in for? You're up there with like the murderers and the kidnappers. Like, what are you in for? Recycling? What? Like, I'd have to make up a story. I couldn't go in under recycling fraud and like expect to have my life as I come out. Like, it would definitely be like triple homicide.
Yeah, it's a state
have to be something.
Homicide of the bottle. State prosecutors charged 8 family members in a Riverside County with defrauding the state by importing used bottles and cans from Arizona.
That's a lot of cans.
178 tons in 8 months. Like that was like an actual, like, that's like a business.
It'd have to be like, if it was 10 cents a bottle, that'd be like,
178 tons.
76 million. Like if you got 10 cents a bottle and you got 7.6 million, that would have to be like 76 million cans.
Yeah.
Where do you even get that many cans? Are they buying them from like another recycling facility?
I don't know what they're doing, but I would assume they're being, according to this, it looks like they are like just brought in by the truckloads. There's no way you have 178
So how do you,
tons.
How do you purchase them? Do you purchase them from like a recycling center?
I don't even know.
I don't know, but that's smart. How did they catch them though? How did they know they didn't buy them in California? That's what I want to know. Was there like a fraud hotline, like a bottle recycling fraud hotline? Like I saw my neighbor bring in a truckload of these. How did they even find out? That's what I want to know. This makes me feel like they should be spending their time doing something else. If like go after the criminals, I don't feel like that's criminality. I don't feel like you should go to jail for that. That's
prosecutors accused family members of unlawfully conspiring to commit grand theft and defrauding the California recycling program on a chronic and ongoing basis by seeking reimbursement. That's fraud.
I feel like that's a creative way to make money.
3
years. That's going to be my
3 years
retirement plan. I want to import them though.
I don't know.
I need more
That's
information.
crazy.
I'm gonna have to look this story up. I'm gonna have to.
Well, I sent it to you earlier, so you can do some more research. But I'm like,
research.
Dude, you have a main job. I have a main job. We'll just let the main jobs work, and then we will just. There's got to be 780 tons of.
I mean, and you've got kids we can employ.
Yeah, there's got to be 780 tons of bottles and cans in California that we could just turn in, make 7.6 million, and roll out.
I don't know. That's insane to me. I can't figure out the fraud thing. That's crazy. You know, I'm bored most of the time. I'm bored enough most of the time that I could do that. Like, I got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a double-edged sword, though, with boredom for me, because, like, ADHD, big thing with ADHD is boredom.
Right.
But that's also a thing with being, like, a Gemini. They say, like, Geminis, that's a big thing. People, they get bored easily. Man, I lose interest in, like, I lost interest in the dating thing. I lose interest in dating. I just lose interest in things.
You just got to turn on Parks and Rec. You probably won't lose interest in that.
No, I definitely don't lose interest. I can binge. Man, I've already binged. I got Apple TV on Tuesday because T-Mobile had a promotion, so 6 months Apple TV free.
Okay.
So I got that. Man, Hijack with Idris Elba. I already binged the whole season.
Well,
I'm waiting on the season finale. Well, yes, that. But then I binged Slow Horses, 2 seasons of that already.
I know you're not a comedy fan, but everybody talks about Ted Lasso. So.
Yeah, I have that on my list.
Everybody talks about it. I've never watched it, but now that you have Apple TV,
I'll have to share that.
You know,
I'll have to share it with you.
You do need to share that with me because we share.
I know, but then I was thinking, I keep sharing with you, and you give me nothing in return.
What are you talking about? You have something.
What do I have? Oh, I guess I have your Disney.
You have Disney,
but I think I pay for Disney.
I don't know. Hulu Plus.
Didn't we give you? I play for Hulu.
I just gave you one. Oh, the Peacock.
But yeah, I don't know. I just with this whole boredom thing.
Well, you're certified. You're certified process server. Which,
I know.
Which, by the way, I've got.
I need to get out and I need to get out with you because
so I got this whole stack.
Okay.
So this is all Dallas. So we'll have to go one day. Can't be Monday. Maybe.
Heidi's like, can I send you papers yet? I'm like, no, I need to go out with Scott first for a little bit just to make sure I'm good on it. I don't want to break the law.
I got to train you a little bit. You get one ride along. So that might be something to do, but I'll be honest, like it's not a ton. It's not a ton up here. It's not gonna be so what I'm going to do. I
need to make $200 to cover the cost of the fee. If I break even, I'm good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I just figured though I could just like do it to help you out in that area whenever you need it, whether it's like 1 or 2 papers a month or 20 papers a month. Right. Get me out of the house.
Yeah, it gives you something to do. I've been pretty bored lately too. Kids are out of school, they're bored. Which is summer, right? Like my kids, they'll come to me and they're like, "Dad, I'm bored." I'm like, "Welcome to summer." Like this is what it is. Like we work. Like I didn't even think about it as a kid. Like I guess mom, Val stays home, but like our mom stayed home too for the most part. But then she did get jobs here and there. She worked at the resale shop. Thirsty Fred's. She worked did you ever work at the bread store? Or is that
she worked at the bread store. She worked at Thirsty Fred. She worked at the interior designer place.
You make it Thirsty Fred sound like it's like a bar. Thirsty Fred.
That's what Dad. I don't know how it went from Thrifty Threads to Thirsty Freds, but Dad always called it Thirsty Freds.
So it's Thrifty Threads, and it was like donation resale shop, like a Goodwill, but with nicer clothes. Just
And I used to get some good clothes there too for nothing. Be like a quarter. One of my favorite sweaters I had forever. Bought it for a quarter.
But it was, but for the most part, I mean, Dad was gone during the day, and like we just sat at home and like
swam.
We can go swim, but then we've talked about this before.
I can remember that Mom would be like, "It is summer. Get outside. Get the TV off." And we're like, "We don't want to go swimming, and it's too hot to ride our bikes."
Exactly. You're gonna make us put a shirt on to swim, and we don't want to swim with a shirt on. I feel like
we spent a lot of time at Grandma's house in the summer.
I don't know what I did.
I feel like I spent tons of time at Grandma's house playing cards because Mom would be like, "Get out of the house, go do something. It's summer." And I'm like, "Shoot, I'm gonna ride my bike down to Grandma's and sit in her AC. We'll watch some Matlock."
It was hot. Murder, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote. Remington Steel and Bonanza. Gunsmoke and Bonanza.
Old Matlock, every day. Yeah, we didn't. So summer's been kind of boring. So even last night I found myself like sitting in my office. I was kind of finishing up some work, and then all of a sudden that's 2 hours later, and I've just been flipping through Facebook Reels. And I'm like,
instead of doing our reels.
Well,
I get it.
I had all intentions to do that, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get on that. But I've just noticed, I've got some time. So then I'm like, and of course, this is my brain. This is how my brain works. Hey, you've got time. Why not do something like make money with your time? And so I'm like, I wonder if I could like you're doing this challenge, this like experiment. Your experiment's over. It lasted a week and a half.
I got bored
of the dating thing with changing it to a podcaster. So I'm like, what if I did something like, I don't know, started a business, like a little side hustle, and to see if I can make any money. Like,
what kind of side hustle?
I don't know. I got to figure it out. Like, what if I detailed cars? I used to do that. Do something that Jared wants to do, but never does it. And then be like, bro, I just made, a ton of money.
There you go. Motivation.
Like Val just told me I got to stop hounding him about his business. Cause I don't hound him. Like every once in a while, I'm like, bro, like you haven't gone and worked for a while. Cause he has the trash can cleaning business. Like you haven't gone for a while. And then Val's like, stop. Like he's got to learn. He's got to fail. I'm like, I know, but I just don't like to see my kids fail. Like I want to see him succeed and do all that. But
I don't know, man. I got my first job. I lined that up. As soon as I turned 16, I started putting applications in. I was ready to make my own money.
And he's fine to do that. And he is making his own money doing his garbage can cleaning. Like he makes enough to pay his bills and to pay for gas in his car and those things. But he doesn't want to go, like, it's hard for him to have a job. He plays football. And so it's hard for him to have like a job. And so he just does this on his own. And he actually, I put a little thing out on Facebook for him. I said, you want to put something on Facebook? And he says, yeah, go ahead. And so we made up a little thing. And, he got a couple jobs. But this kid, man, talk about ADD. So he doesn't pay attention to where he's going. And so he has a job yesterday. He ends up going to the neighbor, full on cleaning their garbage cans, and realizes I'm at the wrong place after he's already cleaned their garbage cans.
Oh no.
And then
the neighbor got a job.
Yeah. So I'm like, you need to go over to their house and knock on their door. Like, hey, just want to let you know, my name's Jared. I clean garbage cans. I did yours yesterday for free. If you ever need it in the future, let me know. Because I'm like, dude, like, did you look at the address? He's like, well, I just saw garbage cans out, so I just did them. I'm like,
gotta love it.
Okay. Well, Holly, hey, let's wrap it up for today. And in wrapping it up for today, I wanted to read to you, because I've got kids, and a lot of our listeners have kids, and you've got nephews and nieces. And I was going to bring this up last week with Greg, and we just didn't get to it. But these are 6, I read this the other day, Val and I, 6 non-sexual lessons every father must teach his son. And we'll just kind of see if we have any feedback on this. Number 1, being physically attractive is a great way to get attention. Being mentally attractive is the only way to keep it. Educate
I said agreed.
Educate yourself, address your recurring toxic thoughts, deal with your insecurities, and learn to be happy alone.
Very important. I think I know a lot of people who can't be alone. They struggle being alone. Mm-hmm. So they're the ones who are always with somebody, even if it's like a crappy relationship.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I can be alone in my thoughts. Like people are like I could literally, like, yeah, I'm watching the Facebook Reels yesterday for like an hour and a half or whatever, but I'm like, it was more just me being alone in my thoughts and just being there and by myself. Like I can do that.
Yep, same.
But definitely,
love it.
Definitely recurring, teaching about recurring toxic thoughts and things like that, like, hey, like we have that stuff, like, let's talk about it. Number 2, normalize saying no without needing to over-explain yourself. If someone is offended by your boundaries, that's their problem. The best weight you'll ever lose is the weight of other people's opinions of you.
It's true. I used to struggle with that sometimes, and Elizabeth would always say to me, like, it's none of your business what they think of you.
Yeah, you can't change them. You can only change you.
That's a good point. Right. Yeah. So what they think of you is none of your business, so that's a good mantra that sometimes I remind myself if I'm going down that rabbit hole, like, hey, what they think of me is none of my business.
Number 3, don't subscribe to other people's definition of fun. Fun doesn't mean drinking, partying, socializing. Fun can be a night alone, getting lost in a book, a deep conversation, a walk, creating art, playing music, or doing your work. Fun is yours to define.
Well, I think that we need to rephrase that. Fun is drinking and partying and socializing, but it can also be. That's what it should say. Fun is, but it can also be.
Yeah, but there's some people who don't. Like,
no, I know.
Honestly, drinking, partying, and socializing is not necessarily fun for me all the time. It's fun. It is fun thing to do, but it's not necessarily like I'm going to,
Right.
But it can be. But see, I think what it's saying is like all we ever see, like think about movies and things like that. All we ever see is when they're having fun, they're partying and drinking and socializing. Right. That doesn't mean that's what it is for everybody. Number 4, this is a good one. Number 4, before you get married, discuss bills, parenting, what beliefs will be installed in your children, childhood trauma, sexual expectations, financial expectations, family health, career, and education. Love isn't enough.
That is a true statement. And I can't handle it when people say love is enough, because love is never enough. Like, you have to have love, but there's also practical issues. And love is an impractical emotion that you're putting onto a practical situation. So you have to talk about all the practicalities around the impractical and incorporate.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good one.
I think without therapy, a lot of people have these childhood traumas that they just don't talk about. And they think this happened in my past. I mean, it's something I dealt with. Just push it down, put it aside, and it's going to come up. Because
it always does.
Who I am is a lot of times defined by those things.
Who I was. Yeah, for sure.
And with that one thing that I think it's in a play. I don't remember what play it is, but anyways, the guy, in short, he says, "'Twas I, but 'tis not I." Like, yeah, that was me, but it's not me now.
Correct.
So I try to live my life that way too. Number 5, the age of 15 to 30 is the golden era of your life. You make friends and you lose them too. You make mistakes, correct them too. You fail, learn, realize. You hit reality, you fall in love, and you get hurt too.
Man, best years of my life, 15 to 30, bar none.
Oh, still goes. You lose yourself and eventually you become stronger. Remember, these are the best years of your life. You should understand the difference between enjoying it and ruining it.
They were the funnest time of my life. I don't know that I will say probably the best, but they weren't the most stable.
Well, that's what he says.
Right.
Enjoy it, and you can enjoy it or you can ruin it.
Right. No financial stability, really. There was no job stability, really. There was none of that. But it was such a great time to just live it. And when I think of the favorite time in my life, it was definitely mid to late 20s, early 30s. So I would agree with that.
It's crazy because, like, for me, 25 is when, like, I quit my decent job that I had, started a business, had a kid. I'd bought 2 houses by then, paid off a couple cars. So it's different. Like, my life was more like just straight in.
Right. And I think that's just based on like the path. I think if you would have taken a path like I took, it would have been a lot different. Where for me, it was just like me. I always tell my nieces and nephews, I don't have anything against marriage. For me personally, not my thing, but I always just tried to, like, nieces get married young, nephews get married young. And I'm not for that, just because I think you don't even know yourself. So for me, I think that it's better, my opinion, take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. I think that you should take time to get to know yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. Like 18, you don't know that. 21, you don't know that. Like, I just don't think you know that. You don't know who you are yet. You're still trying to figure out who you are. And then you want to bring in somebody else and factor in a child as well. To me, I just can't imagine.
Yeah, we'll be good. It's good. So I'm going to figure out who I am when I'm in the prime years of my life. When my kids are out at 49.
Yeah, when you're almost dead.
49. No way, dude. 49. They'll be out. Enjoy my life.
So you think?
When I have money. See, I could be young and not have money and trying to, so I get all the kids out of the way. Get all the kids out of the way.
Not having money and figuring out, man. Whew.
Yeah, that's no fun. Number 6.
Life. Thrilling.
Number 6, heal before having children so your children don't have to heal from having you as a parent.
Man,
that's a big one.
That is probably the best advice I could ever give anybody right there. Like, work on yourself, improve yourself, work through your shit. Don't put your shit on other people. Like, I was in a relationship where a lot of his shit was on me and literally had nothing to do with me. And I think when you get in situations like that, the problem is you confuse love with responsibility. And at least I did. And I stuck around a lot longer than I should have. But deal with your own shit, man. Man, that's such a good one. That's such a good one.
That was big when Val read that to me because we were driving in the car. She had gone to serve a couple papers. She'll go to serve papers with me when she hey, you going to Dallas? Yeah, I am. Okay, well, there's 2 furniture stores I want to stop by on the way back.
Nice.
Okay. So she read that to me, and that was a big one because I wish I had done a lot more healing before I had children. And I feel like I haven't. You
haven't screwed him up too bad?
I haven't screwed him up, exactly. Maybe a little bit, but not too much.
I think, though, what I can say about you and Val, though, is like, even if you weren't perfect when you started and you're still not perfect, you make an effort to not only show that therapy is okay. If your kids ask for it, you're like 100%. You guys are super open.
Yeah.
About communicating about that and how therapy's good for you. It's not you work very hard to get rid of the stigma around mental health and wellness. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, that maybe you didn't start out that way, but you very much corrected course.
Right.
And that's
and it was before
line.
And it was before the kids were at a point where they're like, hey, teenagers, you know what I mean? I started therapy when my oldest was 6 years old. So that's kind of when I started, kind of going through that. The one thing we try to do is to build a relationship with our kids so that they'll want to come to us. And so when I can tell one of them's down, going through teenage girl stuff, she may not relate well to Val, or Val may be tough on her because of this or that, or vice versa. I may be tough on her because of whatever. But I definitely try to go in there and talk with her. She's been in there in her room crying on the bed, and I'll go in there and she doesn't want to talk, and I'll talk to her and get her to open up and be able to share what she's feeling and acknowledge those feelings. And so if I'm hard on them, I always try to go in after and just let them know, hey, like, I still love you. Like, I love you. Like, you are my world. And, I try to figure out what their love languages are so that I can, I've got one that just like me loves to be told how great she is and loves to be cuddled. And so I will just go in there and just hug her and hold on to her and just tell her how much she's loved. And we all have our rough days, but it's good to know that you have a parent that can go in there and say, like, listen, my life, I'm screwed up too. You know what I mean? Or I have issues. And I think it's important. Okay. And I think it's important too, to let kids know that it's okay to have feelings, no matter what their feelings are. Yeah. Like, I can remember, like, not necessarily specifically for me, but I had one friend who never cried. She never cried about anything. And to this day, she doesn't cry. And she grew up with a very hard father who was like, there's no crying, basically, like, there's no crying in baseball, but he meant it. Yeah. She would hurt herself. No, we don't cry. That's weakness. Like, she has a very hard time showing any sort of what she considers a weakness. And it's sad because I think that's a hard... I cry with my kids. Right. My kids are crying. I'm like, over here. Bro, you are a big baby. I'm a baby. You are. I'm tearing up right now thinking about my kids. Thinking about your kids crying. You big wuss. No, I'm just kidding. I think though that's weakness. I think that's important to let your kids feel whatever it is they're feeling, and not to shame them for it. Oh yeah, that's a big thing. So that's a good one, yeah. Yeah, so those 6 things, those are good. And we'll try to remember to add that into our description so that others can go to that and refer back to it. I just felt it was really cool. I felt it was really good. Right. And if we don't include it, then Heidi, I need you to go onto the YouTube comments and say, where's that link? And then we'll add it after. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I just wanted to share those things before it got too far out of my mind. And I really appreciate this journey. I know you think it's young, but I definitely appreciate the journey, getting married at 22, having a kid at 24 and 4 after that. And the thing that I look forward to, and, we never know when it's our time to go home, after this life, but I look forward to the time where I can be adults with my kids and my kids can be adults, and we can have adult conversations and do adult things together, and then with their kids. And I just really look forward to that. Like I said, it's for me 9 years away. Dad. 9 years away, and I'm like, yeah, all my kids will be adults, and we'll be, going out on some guys' trips and family trips and whatever, and just something I look forward to. That's just me. Good. Just love it. But good. All right, everybody, thanks for being here with us today. We look forward to many more of these, and we will see you on the next show. Take care. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, my channel? Please hit the drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Look for my first subscriber. Can't subscribe myself. Can't do that for some reason. I don't know why. Wish you could.